like that. I like hearing that in the background. That's very nice. So this is a song I wrote about the idea of intention. And when I looked up on the Unity websites, various websites from groups around the country, they talked about intention, but also when you're framing those intentions, that if you frame that intention with compassion, compassionate intent, it will be more easily and readily received. And I thought that was an interesting idea to think about, because oftentimes you're wishing for things that you want, and then if it's completely centered on your own desires, that can be a little frustrating, I think, in some regards. But if you start to frame your intentions as to be some sort of beneficial good, I suppose, probably easier to manifest. So this one is called Lead with Your Heart, or Intentional Bliss. Here we go. All my intentions help me chart my course. Too many times I put the cart before the horse. When I'm open to spirit, I will let it light the way. Trust my intuition to find brighter day. Mind where you are. Let dreams take flight. Spirit comes calling. Intentions come to light. You got to think for yourself, but lead with your heart. Thoughts bring intention, but love is where we start. Too much confusion, I feel a mental overload. Light speed connections, but sometimes it's hard to see the road. You got to hold on to the center, the core of what you are. Because thoughts start rising, and they're rising now, rising to the nearest star. Mind where you are, and dreams will manifest. Spirit comes a calling, and it's calling out your best. Think for yourself. You got to lead with your heart. Thoughts bring intention, and love is where we start. Deep inside of you, you can bring it forth. Now look to the white stone that you blessed, that you blessed, that you blessed, that you blessed. Now mind where you are, and let your dreams, let them all take flight. Spirit comes a calling, no, but intentions come to light. Think for yourself, but lead with your heart. Thoughts bring intention, and love is where we start. Love is where we start. Love is where we start. Love, oh, love is where we start. Thank you.
So beautiful. So with no further ado, now with Jerry, you can always tell when he's speaking because he wears a bow tie. Our wonderful associate minister, Reverend Brock Ford, always wears a suit and tie. So we'll have to figure out some signal. You can the pocket square. All right. Since there's a pocket square, you know it's Reverend Reverend Brock's turn to speak. So with no further ado, let's welcome Reverend Brock.
Good morning. And Patrick, thank you so much. Is it okay if I lower while I'm here? All right. Thank you so much. You almost just said my whole sermon, so in your music, but thank you. And thank you for choosing those songs. I appreciate that. Good morning and Happy New Year. It's still Happy New Year, right?
Yeah.
Is this okay? I enjoy the new year because it's a time when we are encouraged to look at ourselves and our lives and embrace the possibility for growth, for evolution, and for change. Let me know if the Zoom's okay. We make resolutions to leave old baggage behind, and we had our White Stone ceremony to declare our intentions for the new year. We commit to trying something new, or perhaps choosing to see things differently. With the new year, we have created a holiday and an opportunity for introspection and observation, a time where we specifically celebrate the power and the value of change. We declare our authority and our agency to manifest the change that we desire. Now, today is January 23rd, and I think that still counts as the new year, right? So today is a great day to start being the change that we would like to be and see in the new year, right? And to that end, I'm going to ask y'all to join me in declaring one more intention that you probably didn't write down in your White Stone, and if you did, hallelujah, to carry us through the new year. And specifically, I want to ask you to consider expressing intentional compassion as you continue through this new year. Intentional compassion. As we go about our lives, let's hold compassion in our hearts, in our thoughts, in our eyes, in our ears, and let them perceive a world through a compassionate lens. Let's choose to express compassion inwardly for ourselves and outwardly to the world around us. Now, I know that 3 or 4 months ago, Jerry spoke about compassion in a different way, and he told what the different meanings are. But compassion literally means suffering together, which is actually a little off-putting for me. I don't care for that definition too much. So, the spiritual definition states it this way. The spirit of the word compassion is synonymous with doing. Compassion is not concerned with the material or physical. It's aligned with the human spirit and soul and requires acting to alleviate the suffering of ourselves and others. So I believe that together we have the ability, y'all, to alleviate suffering. When we see suffering in the world, by offering our own divine power, our grace, our goodwill, we can ease and even eliminate the struggle someone might be going through. The Dalai Lama said, love and compassion are necessities, not luxuries, and without them, humanity cannot survive. So never doubt the power that your compassion has to shape and affect the world around you. And since I'm sharing about how to move through the world with compassion, I want to make sure that you know exactly what I mean by that. Because like that definition, I don't mean suffering together when I talk about compassion. I'm talking about two things. First is the feeling of sensitivity and empathy that we experience when we see someone suffering. And second is the empathy we feel that motivates us to action to hopefully relieve or assist in that person's suffering. Now, y'all, it's that second part that I think is so very crucial. Empathy, our ability to recognize someone's emotions and understand deep in our heart how they feel, is a healing gift to possess and is something I hope all of us can experience. I also want to say that empathy without the action to relieve unhappiness is sympathy or even pity. Again, sympathy is a fine quality, but it's through intentional action that we shape and experience our life. When we are motivated into action by our compassion, we are embracing, we are channeling and strengthening our divine gifts. And then, y'all, we're projecting God and divinity out into the world. Living with compassion is not simply just a touchy-feely spiritual or social activity. There's plenty of science that says, that research shows as well, that acting with compassion, it calms our heart, it lowers our blood pressure, relieves stress and anxiety, and even further evidence shows that compassion is contagious. So when we receive compassion, we usually learn how to give compassion back. And we behave more compassionately towards others out in the world. My relationship with compassion began in 1987 when I fled to Dallas to start a new life. I realized rather quickly that the compassion I was desperately seeking and needing first had to come from me because I wasn't getting it along that way. If I was going to move forward and shed the challenges and the damaged sense of self that I experienced in Tennessee, I first needed to allow compassion to well up inside of me. And eventually, y'all, I could literally feel the presence of love and compassion and comfort emanating from within me. And it was then that I understood the power that compassion has. And it became my quest to share this feeling with others as often as I could, and in as many ways as I could. And sometimes it was just letting a car go in front of me at the drive-thru, or sitting in a park and petting dogs, or hanging out on the corner listening to a homeless person tell me their story. And the more I intentionally exhibited compassion outwardly, that same compassion came back and filled me up inside. My thoughts, my actions, and my life changed because of compassion, because I gave compassion to myself first, and then I sought out reasons and ways to give compassion out into the world. I became gentler, less reactive most of the time. I still have some issues with that. And I looked for reasons to show compassion to others. The kindness that is expressed when we show compassion can literally put us and others at ease. And y'all, it works wonderful in relationships that we have not only with ourselves, but everyone else, even with people that we don't know. But just like meditation, prayer, and many spiritual practices, I've come to realize that compassion requires intentional action to achieve its potential. Did y'all hear that? That's why I ask everyone today to declare your intention to increase your compassionate practice. The kindness we extend is inspiring, it's powerful, and it's courageous. It's also disarming, compelling, and transformative. And in any given moment, the kindness you offer to yourself or to others will affect what happens in that very next moment. It will ripple out, just like waves when a stone is tossed in a pond or in an ocean. Now, what actions can we take to cultivate compassion? The Dalai Lama taught that if your compassion does not include yourself, it is incomplete. We definitely can learn compassion by first expressing it for ourselves. Allow you to be the recipient of your compassion. Rest, exercise, take meditative walks. Allow yourself for opportunities for fun, love, joy. Self-care is self-compassion in action. If you will, consider times when you were treated compassionately by someone. Can you get a sense of how that felt? Can you remember when you were treated compassionately and get a sense of that? If you can, I want you to nurture that feeling. Nurture it within yourself and allow it to grow, expand within you. Hold on to those recollections and feelings and use them as nourishment for the moments when you're lacking compassion for yourself or for others. Also consider how you talk to yourself. Do you say negative things to yourself and put yourself down at times? Ask whether you would say those things to a good friend or someone sitting in here today. Ask yourself, what purpose would this serve? And practice treating yourself as well as you treat your friends and loved ones. Notice how your feelings and your inner dialogue begin to shift as you do that. Charles Fillmore said, "Compassion is a characteristic of love and mercy, prompted by an understanding heart, a compassionate mind that sees the error but does not condemn." Apply what Mr. Fillmore said to yourself. If you make a mistake, acknowledge it. Okay, I won't punish myself today. I'm not going to beat myself up over it. I will learn. I will grow from this experience. And I think we've all heard Maya Angelou's quote, "When you know better, you do better." So give yourself permission to be imperfect. Give yourself permission to be happy. All these actions that I'm talking about are deliberate, intentional, compassionate choices we can make every single day. And they become the foundation of how we show up in the world. Gandhi said, "Compassion is a muscle that gets stronger with use." And just like going to the gym and working out any muscles, it's reasonable to start slowly and gently. Expressing compassion for others can be as simple as, like I said earlier, holding a door for someone, treating a store clerk kindly, or giving up a seat on the bus. Remember, a key element of compassion is empathy, allowing yourself to identify the feelings of others and sympathize with them. Genuinely listen when someone talks to you. Be present with them. If you see a homeless person when you're walking down the street, don't look away. Just make eye contact. Smile. You don't have to fix other people's problems. Just simply acknowledge the humanity of others and look for commonalities that you might share. Myrtle Fillmore wrote, "Begin to think of the goodness of God in all life of all his children." And I'm reading it as she wrote it with those pronouns. "In the life of all his children, think of God as everywhere present light and love and peace and power and life. Think of all men, all women, all children as ever abiding in his presence and expressing his qualities." Can you get a feeling of that? It's a beautiful quote from Myrtle Fillmore. In unity, we endeavor to be fully conscious of our oneness with Spirit. When we live with compassion, we are also aware of the divinity in all things around us. Acknowledging that Spirit exists in others is the beginning of feeling compassion for others. As we express simple kindness and recognize basic human dignity in family and friends, acquaintances, and even strangers, we strengthen our compassion muscles and build our toolbox with intentional, compassionate behavior. So that's one for your toolbox, your spiritual toolbox. Intentional, compassionate behavior. And as you practice not judging yourself, stop blaming others. Just let it be what it is. Plato said, "Be kind, for everyone you meet is fighting a hard battle." So allow yourself to consider the path others have traveled and accept that they're different from yours. And when you meditate on feelings that you experience when compassion has been extended to you, consider how you might extend that same compassion outward and grow those feelings in others. Intentional compassion is a choice, y'all, and it can be the prescription we are looking for to help ourselves and to help others in the world. In closing, I want to encourage you to make that phone call. Offer to listen to a friend in distress. Pray for others without them even knowing it, and send them compassionate energy. And most important, intentionally offer compassion to yourself. Let it be a guide that will lead you into a new way of being in the world that uplifts, strengthens, brings joy and blessings to yourself and to others. And so it is. Amen. As we prepare ourselves for today's meditation, let's be aware that true compassion, according to Zen Buddhism, is the wish for others to be happy without expecting anything in return. Compassion meditation involves silently repeating certain phrases that express the intention to move from judgment to caring, from isolation to connection, from indifference or dislike to understanding. As we get started, if your mind wanders, notice it. Then let it go. Let go of that thought or feeling and return to the phrases I'll be sharing with you, and repeat them silently to yourself as I speak them. So let's start by closing your eyes and getting comfortable in your chair or at home, wherever you are on Zoom. And let's take a deep breath together and become present and calm. Letting your body fully relax. I want you to begin thinking of someone you love or care about. Perhaps a family member, someone that's been nice to you, or who has inspired you. Bring those people to your mind, your thoughts. You can visualize this person or speak their name to yourself. Get a feeling for their presence and silently offer these phrases of compassion to them. May you be free of pain and sorrow. May you be well and happy. May you experience love, joy, and peace. Another deep breath, staying present. Now I want you to shift your attention inward and offer the phrases of compassion to yourself as I repeat them. May I be free of pain and sorrow. May I be well and happy. May I experience love, joy, and peace. Gently breathe another deep breath in and out, staying present in the moment. As we move on to someone you may find challenging, someone you may find challenging in your life. Get a feeling for that person's presence. And let's offer these phrases of compassion to them. May you be free of pain and sorrow. May you be well and happy. May you experience love, joy, and peace. Continue to just normally and naturally breathe in and breathe out. Now, let's focus on someone that you have barely met, someone you don't know very well. Perhaps the supermarket checkout person or a delivery person. Even without knowing them, you can get a sense of the person in your mind's eye, perhaps an image. And offer the phrases of compassion to them as well. May you be free of pain and sorrow. May you be well and happy. May you experience love, joy, and peace. Continuing to gently breathe, noticing your breath. We will close with the offering of compassion to people everywhere, to all life forms, without limit, without exception. May all humans and animals be free of pain and sorrow. May all be well and happy. May all experience love, joy, and peace. And with compassion, we say namaste. And so it is. Thank you.
That was beautiful, Reverend Brock. Thank you so much for that. Also, so timely. As Randy mentioned, Thich Nhat Hanh, for those of you who don't know who he was a Vietnamese monk, and he made his transition, I believe, on Friday at the age of 95. Often traveled to the United States and was a teacher of mindfulness and compassion, the two very things that Rock just spoke about. So it's a really lovely honoring to see his teachings kind of go out in different ways. They're definitely ones to live by. And if you're not familiar with Thich Nhat Hanh's work, H-A-N-H is his last name. I highly recommend it, but really beautiful. Love the metta prayer. It's so gorgeous, isn't it? Yeah, it includes all beings, all sentient beings. So thank you. And that slide was amazing too. That beautiful slide with the rock cairn and the water, just really lovely. All right, well, shifting gears now from what, like first to fifth? It's time for our, I guess I do know how to drive a stick. It's time now to affirm who and what we are. So please join with me in doing that. At Unity Spiritual Center, we are an ocean of love. At Unity Spiritual Center, we have an inspiring vision, an exciting mission, and compelling values by which we strive to live. And I invite you to join with me in saying them aloud. Our vision is centered in God. We co-create a world powerfully transformed through the shared growing movement, of shared spiritual awakening. Our mission is, we are a creative, joy-filled spiritual community dedicated to healing, inspiring, and transforming the lives of all people through prayer, education, and love. And our values are, we are spirit-led, generous with resources, inclusive, joyously creative, and guided by integrity. And in this space, feeling so inspired by our vision, mission, and values, feeling enriched by what we've experienced and heard here today, Let us take time now to be a channel for enrichment through our generous tithes and love offerings. As Patrick shares another beautiful song, please do take that time to write out a check to USC, or if you are on Zoom, to make a donation online using the link that Reverend Jerry just put in the chat. And if you're here in the sanctuary, the ushers will come forward to take your offering. Practicing the principle of tithing ourselves as a spiritual community, we are pleased to tithe 10% of the offering collected every Sunday to various unity organizations and local nonprofits serving our city. So let's take a moment now to bless our tithes and our love offerings, placing them in our hands or next to our hearts as we say our offertory prayer. Divine love, through me, blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Thank you, God.
Okay, this is a song we talk about intention and thinking about things, and how often we're our own worst enemy. And as Reverend Brock talked about, be compassionate with yourself. And also, I was thinking about when you're thinking of intention, you're trying to listen to what is being told to you, if you can. And you know, I play music a lot, and the most important quality in music is not playing, it's listening. And the compassion that comes from listening to other musicians and other players is that reciprocal feeling of shared mutual affection or joy for what we have in our lives. So this is a song called Get Out of Your Way. So wrapped up in the all about me, ego hunger feeds insecurity. All the illusions that are serving to distract, you gotta drop those preconceptions. Feel the wind at your back. Get out of your way. You're blocking the view. There's a beautiful vista, universe sharing with you. Get out of your way. You're doing you wrong. You gotta listen with your heart and finally sing your song. Reading the tea leaves, seeking the divine. We make it so hard, give ourselves such a hard time. But the wisdom within is only waiting to reveal. You take a dive into soul power, trust yourself to truly feel. Get out of your way. You're blocking the view. There's a beautiful vista, universe sharing with you. Get out of your way. Yeah, you're doing you wrong. You gotta listen with your heart and finally sing your song. Keeping who from doing what you want to do. Ooh, saying stop from climbing to the mountaintop. Ron, you're beautiful, yeah. Ooh, saying go when you find yourself within the flow, winding up for your hammer throw. You find the light that is burning in your soul. Get out of your way. You're blocking the view. There's a beautiful vista the universe is sharing with you. Get out of your way. You gotta listen with your heart and finally sing. You gotta listen with your heart and finally sing. You got to listen with your heart and finally sing your song. You gotta sing. You gotta put your hands together now. You got to sing. You gotta sing your song. You gotta sing your song. Let's give it up for Ron, yeah. You gotta sing your song. Gotta sing your song. You gotta sing. Let me say it to you now. Don't you know that Brock is from the South, and we talked about the music from the South, how you talk about the music, yeah. You've got to sing.